Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. Today's exciting episode, I make a tweed jacket. It's a simple tweed jacket, but then I made it really complex by beading it with beads and sequins. So it's all sparkly. It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket. So I am finally going to use this piece of tweed that I bought in New York years and years ago, and this is the pattern that we're going to use, Simplicity S9124. So previously I made two cotton mock-ups. This is the first one, this golden coloured one. It's reversible, so when I make it out of tweed, I'm going to make tweed on one side and silk for the lining side. But see how it was just a bit big for me. I know that's how you're supposed to wear it, but when you're making it out of tweed, I sort of just wanted the fronts to be a little less so you don't have to fold the ends over. So that my second mock-up is the red and blue and yellow one, and so I just altered the two fronts slightly. So I'm happy with that pattern. So let's go. Here is the fabric. As I said, I bought it in New York years ago before the pandemic. It's navy, purple and black, and because it's a bit narrow, it's just too small to make my normal Vogue 7975, but it's perfect for this one here. So I cut out two of every single piece that I needed, two sets of every single piece out of the netting backing fabric, because I'm doing beading on this. So if you're just not doing beading, then you just need one layer, but I'm doing quite a bit of beading. So after I cut out those two layers and pinned them together, then I cut out one of all the sets of pieces, so front left, front right, back, and two sleeves out of the tweed. And now it is time to pin them together. These two pieces I'm showing you are the sleeves, but I also did the same for the two fronts and the whole back piece. So first of all, I place each piece on the right pattern piece and make sure it's facing up the right way, because the front of this tweed has slightly more of the sparkly bit, whereas the back has slightly less. So I just made sure everything was right. And then I pinned them together, and the pins here indicate where I'm doing rows of beading. Normally when you make a tweed jacket, you just stitch the tweed to the backing fabric so that the tweed doesn't sag over time. But I'm complicating things, and instead of stitching the two together on the back, I'm turning it over and I'm going to stitch sequins on the front, just because I've stitched together tweed to a structural layer like literally hundreds of times before. So instead of doing that, then doing the cosmetic beading, I'm just doing them both in one, and the stitches that hold the beads on actually hold the structural layer to the tweed as well. So I'll show you the back of it once it's done, but let us begin. Oh, I went to the trouble of filming all of these, so I should tell you what I'm doing. So I'm picking up the colours in the tweed, but I didn't really have any navy sequins. I've got black, I've got purple, and I've got dark blue. So I decided to go with the dark blue and the purple to use them up, because I've got some other very specific designs that I want the black ones on. So yeah, this is what we're going with. I've got some purple leaves, blue leaves, some little oval shaped purpley iridescent ones, and some just novelty ones. So yes, here we go. I'm actually going to start with the back, because it takes you a while to get into your rhythm. So I'll do it on the least visible part, which is the back of the jacket. And here we go. The beading has begun. Oh my gosh, it takes forever. So I put a row of beads down the back, and then I found half again, and then halved it, so quarters, and then I did the 4 rows, and then I filled in the ones in between. And yeah, upon reflection, I feel like they're just a little bit too far apart, these rows. There's no way I'm doing another row in between them. But when I do the front, which is the next part, I will just make the rows just a tiniest bit closer together. But apart from that, I am pleased with it. I shall continue. Oh my goodness, it is done. I listened to all of Sense and Sensibility. I didn't used to like audiobooks, but I really, really like reading Jane Austen. So I've changed it. I've gotten used to the audiobooks. So yes, I just finished Sense and Sensibility. And obviously here's the back. So I've pinned that on there. So now we have the front left and the front right to do next. And as I said, the rows are going to be just a tiny bit closer together. And they do look sort of greenish blue, don't they? Aquary blue. But that's just the iridescence and the way it photographs. In real life, you can tell that they're purple and blue. So yes, I'm doing the fronts now. Obviously, I was a little bit carried away with listening. So again, I did the center, then I halved it again and did a row on either side. And then I went back across and filled in a line in between each one, and I just filmed this part. So I finished one side, and I, instead of pinning it up straight away, I kept it there so that I could make them the same. So, well, at least very similar. So now that I've got to the point where I'm just doing the fill in between lines, I can pin this up. And yes, we're actually getting somewhere, although I feel like I've just been beading forever. So, yep, and now this is in no time at all. I finished the second front side. So, yeah, I'm slowly using up all my beads and sequins, but I'm nowhere near using them all up. So I have this other satin fabric that would actually go really well with the iridescent colours. So I might use them up on that. Anyway, so I've got the front, two fronts, and I've got the back done. We still have the sleeves, but I think at this point, what I will do now is, I had some extra footage, so I thought I'd show you that. So now what I think I'm going to do is unpin these and machine sew the top and the back together very carefully, so that I can stitch back the seam allowance and finish the sequining or the beading across the shoulders. And because that all has to be done before I can machine sew the sleeves on anyway. So I think I will do this step now. If you didn't have any sequins on it, it would be the next step that you do anyway. So put down, I've unpinned them, and I put down the back of the jacket, and then I'm very carefully going to push down all the sequins at the top. Like, I've left plenty of room so that the foot of the machine doesn't stomp on everything. So I pinned the two fronts to the back very carefully, and as you can see, well, you can't really see, but this is what the back of it looks like. So they're just nice neat rows of stitches, and make sure you don't do any, leave too much mess on the back or anything. So I've machine sewed them, and now the next step is to pin back the seam allowance. And here we go, it's pinned back. Now I have to hand stitch this down, and then I will have to go along and put sequins on this part. And once that's done, we'll be ready to start working on the sleeves. So I'm going to go do some more hand stitching and beading, then I'll be back. So I have finished the left side. This is the right front side here. And as you can see, I have stitched back the seam allowance, but it's still got a little bald patch on the shoulder line there. That's the left side over there. That one's done. I've done the sequin and the beading across the shoulder line. So now I just have to do that on here. And then we will be ready to set this aside and start working on those sleeves. So just a little bit more work. And ta-da, here we are. It's finally done. So now I will put this aside. I might drape it on the mannequin. That kind of looks like a future-y space movie costume or something, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's fine. I'll leave that sitting there. And it's time to get the sleeves out and start beading them. So as I said, when I was doing the first half, I listened to Sense and Sensibility, and then I finished listening to that, and now I'm listening to Pride and Prejudice, and these beads obviously the same as the ones I did before. So I've done the first half of the first sleeve, and I'm just to film it because that way I feel like I've actually done something. And I like this. It has slightly more leaves rather than the I picked out all the interesting ones in my bag of sequins. I wish I'd done this sooner because I think it looks better if there's a couple more leaves in the purple and blue. Anyway, so I'm listening to Pride and Prejudice and I'm trying to, how people always say they have favourite characters or they are like one of the characters or one of the other characters. I was trying to figure out which character I'm like. But I'm probably grumpy, like if you haven't met me before, a lot of people, like after they've gotten to know me, they always tell me that I'm intimidating. And I'm like, dude, you're telling me how intimidating I am. I'm clearly not intimidating. You feel safe enough and secure enough to say that to me. And so, yeah. But I do come across as grumpy just because, like, Darcy is not a grumpy person as such, but terrible things have happened and he's just quite pissed off about the bad things that have happened. So I think sometimes I come across like that. But I just love Pride and Prejudice. It is so well written. Anyway, so I finally finished the sleeves. So now it is time to get the body of the jacket off the mannequin and pin the sleeves on. And once they're pinned in place, so you pin the shoulder line, the center, there's a notch in the sleeve, so you match up the centers and then you match up the back, then you match up the front. And oh my gosh, with all this beading and the sequins on there, they catch on each other like you would not believe. So it was very frustrating. And it's also quite heavy, so it is difficult to sort of run it through your machine and make sure everything stays. So this is my nice neat stitching on the back of it. And anyway, so I machine sewed those, and now the next step is to pin back the seam allowance. With this seam allowance, you don't split it open, you just turn it all into the sleeve so that the sleeve has better definition. And then you stitch that into place. And then once that was done on that side, I turned it over to the correct side, and I hand stitched some more beads and sequins over the bald patch that I'd left for here you can see I had to leave a bald patch so that I could actually do the machine sewing, and then I filled that in as well. I like this more than when I first did the back piece, it was a little bit too gappy and I didn't like it at all. But now that the whole thing's done, I really like it. Anyway, so now that the sleeves are done and the bald patches are filled in, now I have to, the sleeves and the side are all one line that you sew. So I pin them very carefully into place, moving like basically every sequin. You have to sort of make it lie down so it's out of the way of where the sewing machine foot is going to go. So that was a bit time consuming. After I machine sewed it, then I pinned back the seam allowance, clipping the curves, and now I have to hand stitch all this into place. Once that was done, I turned the jacket out, and now I just have to fill in those gaps that I left vacant for the foot of the machine sewing. So now I just have to use beads and sequins to fill in these areas here. Oh my gosh, there's just having sequins and beading on your jacket just makes everything take 10 times longer because you've got to stop, do a tiny bit more, stop, do a tiny bit more. So anyway, this jacket is finally done. I also turned in the seam allowance on the cuffs of the sleeves, and then that was my outer jacket. I made another entire jacket for the lining, which is the inner jacket. And then, so they're both exactly the same, except obviously the lining side is much more boring. And then you pin them together at the edges, and then you sew it, and then you pull the whole thing very, very carefully through one sleeve. Because it's such a baggy sleeve, you can actually do it this way. And then you pin them together, hand stitch the top stitch round the whole of the bottom, up the front, round the neckline, back down the other front. And now I still haven't hand stitched the the sleeves together, like the lining sleeve and the outer sleeve. So when we turn it around to the side, you'll catch a glimpse up into the sleeve, and you'll see that I haven't quite finished that yet. And also there are a couple of sequins on the front that I still haven't done, but you know, I had to stop at some point and to edit this video and get it done. So yeah, here we are. This is the jacket, and I really, really like it. The sequins is so big. It's very extra, and I'll probably just wear it over a t-shirt and jeans, but I love this. It is amazing. I was never really sure what to do with this fabric, because when you look at it up close, it's amazing. It's just got these, it's got this sort of tinselly black fabric, black yarn in there, as well as navy and purple. So it's really beautiful, but also if you look at it from, you know, more than a foot away or something, it kind of just looks navy black, sort of. You can't really see any of the details. So I was like, I love the detail in it, but I don't know what I can do with it. So yeah, this is great. This is so, I mean, it's not really something that I would normally wear, but it's good to have jackets that sort of get you outside your comfort zone every now and again, I think. And yeah, I'm so glad that I finally used up this bit of fabric. Anyway, but if you are looking to do a tweed jacket, but the Vogue 7975 or one of those classic Chanel look jackets are a little bit intimidating because there's so many pieces and so many steps, and I would definitely recommend this one because it's just got 2 front pieces, 1 back piece. Sew them together at shoulders, add the 2 sleeves, sew them up together, then add a lining, and you're basically done. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. It's really pretty and it's nice. It's like if you can bling it up, and or you can sort of dress it down. I obviously always dress everything down. So yeah, but this is still a little bit extra. So that is it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Oh my goodness, there is so much work in this, went into this jacket. Anywho, once again, it's Simplicity 9124, but there's also Berta 6123. That's another simple Chanel style jacket. And I've done a couple of episodes of that one as well. So yeah, it's all sparkly. It's fabulous. It kind of looks like a little hedgehog, doesn't it? The way they stick up on the shoulders and that. Oh well. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and happy sewing. I was going to rant some more about Pride and Prejudice, but I'll leave that for another episode. I'm listening to my 4 favourite Jane Austen novels in order, so it's in publication order. So Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, then Emma rocks, and then I'll listen to Persuasion. So yeah, my life is so exciting. Anyway, happy sewing.